Hello everybody. I'm going to show you a few things that are fairly easily done for Thanksgiving. And I guess because I leave a delay so that you don't have to buff, it's always a little bit later. You see what I'm doing a little bit later. That's okay, Musa. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Sharon. Oh my goodness, yeah, in the north it's already cold. So, I realized that one of the things that I haven't done in 3 years, in the 3 years that the channel was up on the mostly holiday lives, is turkeys. Hi, Beth. So, let's see how we can make fairly easy turkeys that we can make, and I'll explain to you. If you want to make a napkin holder, I'll explain to you how to make it because it's not very hard. But let's start with the beginning. So how to make a turkey. And first and foremost, so I'm using Premo here, and I'm going to use some of the sienna. And then I'm going to use, you can use orange. I just had made a whole bunch of the orange when we had the Halloween, so I still have quite a bit of it. And then I'm going to get some white. And I'm going to get some black. Again, this is a no sweat, easy stuff that even many beginners can do. Now on the black, go a little bit less than all the other ones. Hi Darla, hi Ramona, hi Sonia, hi Marshall. Now to tell you about Finnegan, he is recovering after his second hospitalization. Kind of had to deal with a little bit of an upset, more than a little bit, upset stomach, and I called the doctors last evening and they said that it's just because of the stress, and then he was losing a bunch of hair from his mane. Today it's not happening anymore, but the medication he needs to take really gets him very sedated. And it's not so much the pain medicine as it is the he has to take a medicine that normally, and that's why it kind of gets him, normally is given for high blood pressure, but it also has the effect of relaxing the, preventing spasms of the urethra. So poor little guy, he's been sleeping, and if you've followed him on Facebook, and I posted a few updates here on the community tab too, he looks like a poodle because he had to have both forelegs shaved. But so I'm telling you, I might not be able to show him to you today because he's sleeping. If he wakes up and comes here, then I'll let you see him, but I'm not going to bother him today to bring him over. And it's been horrible. Okay, so I have all these. You see that these three are pretty much the same, and you can use cutters to do the same size, but the black is a little bit smaller. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to do some little sausages. If you think I need to make the light a little bit stronger, I mean the screen has to be lighter, let me know and I will. Hi Donna, hi Judy, hi Chris. And with Finnegan, and here, by the way, before I go to the next, you can use here practically any color. You can use green, you can even use red. Blue I wouldn't go for, because blue and turkey is not so much, and fall. But definitely green. You can use whatever other stuff you have. And depending on how our weather is a little bit overcast and we have a little bit of breeze, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna be able to sit on this chair for more than an hour, but if I am, I'm going to try and show you another thing. If not, it's gonna be in a hi Matnut, it's gonna be in a future thing. And yes, I started catching up on my tutorials, because now I don't have the broken bearing power supply, but it's also Finnegan's in the way. Remember what I was telling you, that every time I'm starting to catch up on stuff, something happens, and I wish it was just about me, not about my pets, because poor guys. Okay, now I'm going to go through with it through the machine a few times. And make sure that I go color on color. Now let's get it. And yes, he did. He did. It was horrible. And I'm gonna be very honest with you, and I'm sorry that I keep bringing the subject of money and asking for help. It was horribly stressful, because I got there. It's an ER. First of all, his regular veterinarian was out of town and told me she would be out of town till the weekend, then she's gonna be in town tomorrow, and then she goes again out of town because she's got some family crisis with her parents. And she told me, take him to the ER. Took him to the ER. I got there because he started exhibiting symptoms again about 8 o'clock in the evening Wednesday. So I got to the ER about 9:30. So they take him in the back and everything, and they allowed me to come in. It was super windy and of course dark outside, and they allowed me to come in and sit in one of their consultation rooms, and they took Finnegan in the back, and the veterinarian on staff for that evening called me on my phone, and we discussed. And yes, he had another obstruction, and yes, he needed another catheterization, be put under anesthesia, have another catheterization, and be in the hospital for a day or two. But it was you need to put $1,000 down for now, or all we can do is to empty his bladder, charge you $200, and send you home. By now it was almost 11. So you can imagine what a state of mind I was. And if you were on Facebook, I just kept posting all the time, because I was by myself in one of those consultation rooms till 11 o'clock at night, and at one point I posted, oh my god, they want me to put down $1,054. And they kept bringing me all kinds of estimates from this to this. My luck was that one of my friends was awake, saw it, and she had some money put aside for, I didn't even ask for one, and she was like, I can send PayPal you the money, but I'll need them back fast. I said, that's fine. Tomorrow I have time to look around, to get a loan, to do something. And fortunately, I was able to keep him there and then take care of loans and other things. But the thing is that I kind of have to pay the loan back within a month, otherwise I pay horrible rate of interest. That's why I put up because the total bill was little bit about 2,100, because he was there for 2 days, so that 1,000 was just the front payment. Okay, don't think of anything else. And you'd think that, oh, they are veterinarian and oh my god, I'm not gonna leave there a purebred cat, you know. No, put the money down or we don't take care of it. We'll do the minimum possible. Now think about this, also knowing that his veterinarian wasn't going to be, because if his veterinarian was going to be in the next day, he could have gone fine for like 6 or 7 hours until morning to be catheterized by her. And to make the long story short, it was nerve-wracking. And then he had to be there till Saturday. So as I said, the full bill was like 21 something. And because it ended up to be the front payment was like 1,200 something, and then I had to pay 780 something when I picked him up. Anyway, so I did make a GoFundMe for him. You can also send me money directly through Facebook or use the donate button on my blog or my website. But you know, I have him home and he's going to see his regular veterinarian tomorrow for follow-up, and I'm going to be in another stress because, as I said, his regular veterinarian is not in town for the whole next week. So if something happens, it's again that place. And I barely recovered after having to put Whisper to sleep, you know. But anyway, he was, and the thing that really kind of miffed me, you know, when he was overnight at his regular veterinarian, because he had to be with the, because when they do that, they put a catheter and they have to be with a catheter for an amount of time, and that means that there's urine leaking out of them all the time. And when I picked him up from his regular veterinarian, to explain a little bit what I'm doing, I'm trying to narrow this and leave just a little bit of gradient here. So when I picked him up from his regular veterinarian, they had washed him, they had brushed him. He was almost dry, not fully dry. He still had a little bit of moisture on his fur. These guys, when I got him back, I don't know how often they were cleaning those cages. I don't know what they had on those cages, but all the fur on his belly was yellow. And he was so upset. I couldn't get him to calm down. He wanted to lick himself all the time. And he has a little bit, he barely calmed down. Well, first night, he would wake up like every 10 minutes and come to check to make sure that I was there with him. And as I said, one of his medications is messing him up. He's still, I don't know today, but last evening he still was in a little bit of pain because he cried. He went to his water fountain to complain. He was just sitting in front of his water fountain and he was like, ah! At the water fountain. I don't know why. And he drinks water. He drinks a lot of water. The good news is that he finally manifested some interest in canned food. He only took a few bites, but it's the first time I see him manifesting any interest in anything. And you're right, Darla. That's why I love his a regular veterinarian, because she has very sensible prices. I'm not saying that it's very cheap, no matter what, because you have to think that they do have to, I mean, you have to pay for whatever procedures they do, the medication, the tests, and everything. But it's a huge difference. I mean, for his regular veterinarian, or urinalysis is $41.50. At this place, the urinalysis is $150, and he had, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 done. So urinalysis only was a large part of that bill. All right, so the first way of doing the turkey tail, okay, let me get it through the machine on the thickest setting. And let us get, what should we get? A piece that would be the, let's get a little piece of this brown. So this is the sienna, right? So this would be the first way of doing it, and I didn't get my round cutter. I am sorry. I've been, the thing is that I have to keep my eye on him and go check if he wants to, if he goes pee, to make sure that he doesn't cry and that he actually pees. Okay, so this will be the, actually no, let me get a piece of wax paper to work on. This will be the, oops, of course, and I dropped it, the base. This little circle would be the base. And I'm not using the shiny part, I'm using this part. Then the next, and this one you can bake ahead of time, but you can leave it for a while, you know, I mean leave it raw and work on it raw. So the first way of doing it is, let me cut about this much, should be good. Watch this, I'm going to manipulate it a little bit. Remember that you can manipulate your clay however you want it to be. Just have a little bit of patience, because this is going to be turned pretty much, and I think it's too much of it. Too much. Let's make it smaller. You can manipulate it in absolutely any shape you want. And by the way, you can work it even without the base. The main thing is, if you want, how do you want your, this would be for earrings or for a small pendant. It all depends on how do you want to attach your jewelry. Thank you, Judy. How do you want to attach your jewelry to the findings? Okay, and I think that I should go a little bit lighter, and let's zoom in a little bit so you can see better what I'm doing. Okay. So we get pretty much this. And don't worry too much about it, because it's a turkey. It doesn't have to be perfectly geometrically perfectly. Okay, next. You can do this with a needle, but I would suggest that you use a toothpick, because a toothpick drags better than a needle. So let me get my eyes. So what you do is simply drag. So place your, let's say this is the polymer clay. You place it and you drag like this at a very slight angle. Don't go like this. Don't go fully like this. It's just, I don't know, like a 15 degrees angle to get the best dragging. So this is called feathering practically. And this would be more for if you want a pendant. It's prettier if you do it like this, and then come back and push in these ends. And once again, this is not a super realistic anything. It's just fun. So take it as fun. And the last thing we need to do is to make it prettier. And so this would be our first. And as I said, you can put it on something, and then you'll place whatever you want to do as finding as attaching. That's neat. If you look on my channel, Madnuts, you go on the playlists, and I have a whole playlist about Christmas stuff, and a few are Christmas ornaments. Okay, the next thing, and I'm gonna do two separate. The next thing to do is much easier, obviously. Let's grab another piece of wax paper. Remember I told you that I prefer to use wax paper because I can just take it like this and then put it on the tile without having to handle the clay and cause all kinds of deformities. So for this one, and it depends what you want to do, how big you want to make it. This is a little too big. Let me just use this. And you can re-roll this and repeat and get how many you want. You want more of the brown. Let me get this more here. You want more of the brown and less of the black. So get yourself like a solid 6 just to be on the safe side. And again, they don't have to be perfectly the same. This is something a beginner can do. 5, 6. And then we are going to place them on the wax paper. First place 2 that would go on a straight line, on a vertical straight line, and make sure they are against each other. And then And keep in mind you need kind of this. You don't want to come with them like with the flower to make a circle. You can, I mean, there's two ways of doing this whole thing. Actually, let's do more like a flower because it's gonna be easier for you to put the body if it's roundish. And another one here. Just make sure that they get well connected along with the previous ones. And another one here. And then you can play a little bit again on them with the toothpick, just very little, just feather them a little bit. And if you ask me, well, if I want to do these so much smaller than this, what do I use as a cutter? Your best bet is to get, you only have 5 what? You can get a tea light, you know, those cheaper ones that you get in the dollar stores, and use scissors. I mean, first remove the tea light from that softish aluminum thingy they are in, and then use the scissors to cut a strip all along, and then just create your little cutter out of that. You kind of have to not push very hard with that because it's a bit too soft for polymer clay and it might start squishing, but it's the best thing to use when you want something very small and you don't have money to use a Kemper cutter. If you have a Kemper cutter that's teardrop, that's perfect. Okay, next, our next thing is, and let me grab another because this is going to be easy for you. So this is the smallest circle cutter in the circle cutter sets, no matter if you have the 3 circles or the 5 circles. The smaller cutter is the same size. And you're going to need 1 for the body of the turkey and half for the head of the turkey. So I have 2 bodies here, so I'm gonna have 1.5. So your next thing is bead it, bead all of them, make beads out of all of them to start with. They're not all going to be beads, or you can leave them as beads round, because there's so many ways of making little turkeys that you can use whichever of them you want. So we have 2 bodies and 2 heads, and I'm gonna make 1 longish body and 1 beadish body. Okay, so let's make this one beadish body. So all you do is to simply place the bead here and make sure it's well placed there. Then grab the other bead, drop it. I told you my hands are good for nothing when there's bad weather. And place it on top here and just affix it a little bit. Then your next thing is that you need a little bit of coral red or orange or whatever. This will be for the beaks. Or you can use yellow for the beaks as well. Hi, Colleen. And we are going to need a few black tinies for the eyes and a few white tinies for the eyes. I'm going to have to, let me see if that is reachable or not. It is not. I'm gonna have to cut another circle for the head of the other turkey. I'm doing little eyes. Okay, so I got some little black and I'm gonna do some little whites. Pretty much the same size as the blacks, because we're gonna make them look funny. Not, remember, we are not going for realistic, we are going for fun. Alright, next let's place first, okay, this be the mine. I still have a fold line in it. I didn't notice because I didn't have my eyes on. So when you do the bead, make sure that there is no fold line. See, I still have a little bit of a fold line here. Okay, now it's in good shape. So place it again and kinda and gently, because you don't want finger prints on there, so just shine it up a little bit. Okay, now let's place two of the white blobs and place them more towards the side. And flatten. And then the blacks, place them right on this side of the blobs of the whites. And flatten. And we got two cute eyes. Then we're gonna place the beak. Okay, we have the beak, and then let's grab a pinch of, okay, this is not actually red. Oh, I thought I took out the red, but it's not the red, it's a mica red. Just a second. Let's grab a little bit of actual red. And what you do with the actual red, again, start with the bead, so it would be, I hate this. Just dropping stuff like crazy. Okay, so as I said, start with the bead and then get it more in a snakish thing. It doesn't have to be that big. You actually need it to be a little bit smaller. And then we're gonna take a little piece of it. Make sure that it's tapered at the end. And take a little bit more than it would be the beak. And let's place it here. Oops. It's too long. Let me make it shorter. And we're gonna place it, come on, right on top of the beak, but to the side. So pretty much like this, right here. flatten a little bit with your X-Acto knife, and then we're gonna gently bring it down. And we got a turkey. So you can make these, as I said, you can make these as, you can make it a little bit bigger and have make a pendant, or you can make them a little bit smaller and you can make earrings. Let's do this other one. And as I said, first of all, let me grab another thing for the head. As I said, you can make them with the body as a round bead, and you can make them with the body as an elongated bead. That's why I made that one with the round bead body. Thank you, Ramona. So making sure there is no. So this one, I'm not gonna leave it round. I'm going to gently ovalize it and actually even wedge it. So let me remove, let me give you, if you've never watched my or other tutorials that show this, let me show you real quick, unzoom, and show you real quick the basics of round, oval, and teardrop. Round, always do it in the very middle of your palm if you want it to come up round, and roll, roll, roll until there would be no folding line from when you folded the clay to make the bead. If you want to make it oval, you still go in the middle of your palm, but this time you put your palms like this and you do this, and you'll get an oval. Now let's go back to round. If you want to make a teardrop, let it drop towards the, put your palms together, let it drop towards the end of your palms, and gently bring your palms together and roll back and forth, and you're gonna get a teardrop. Now, depending how teardroppy you want it, if you want it to be a longer teardrop, a more wedge teardrop, hi Karen, it's all up to you. So let me zoom back in. Okay, so we're gonna do a teardrop, and generally when you put on this one, you can even cut it in half for a better, but you still have your little teardroppy thing. And then we do the same for the head. Gonna cut it in half, and I'm rolling so I don't flatten my head on just one side. Place the head on top of here, and the same thing, we're gonna going first to place the whites, and I made these whites too big. I need you need the whites to be the same size as the blacks, these little beady things. And so a little bit smaller than a mustard seed. And the same thing, place the white on the sides pretty much, and then flatten them in, and then get the blacks on the inside part of the whites. This one is a little bigger. And flatten in. And the same thing, we're gonna make a little beak, And in order to make a little beak, again you get your rounded, drop it on the tile, and then place your finger right at the end and start so that you'll be wedging it. And place the beak like a carrot on a snowman, pretty much. Just make sure that you press in it properly, and you can wedge it some more after you've pressed it in. And then let's make another, I forgot how it's called. I'm having a brain fart. How is this thing of the turkey called? Waddle, not waddle, waddle? And we're gonna place it here. And it's easier with the, I don't know why I'm trying to do with my finger. And just press a little bit in so it would be connected to the beak properly, and then bring it down. Another cute thing that you can do for the wattle, yeah, okay, well, another thing that you can do for these little things is, and let's do that on this one because it's got more room, to make it more Thanksgiving-ish. We're gonna grab a little bit of black, and what I'm going to do first is a bead, and make it until there's no folding lines. Then I'm going to grab my acrylic block. You can use one of those mirror tiles or whatever, and gently make it into a cylinder that would be about a little bit smaller than the turkey's head, right? And now I'm going to cut one end. Then to make things better, I'm going to first cut it in half, and then cut the other end. And just to be, because it's better to do this before you place it, so grab a little bit of white and make it into a string. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. So, and then very gently flatten it. Let's grab it and put it on one of the ends of the cylinder. And then another thing we can do is to place another little piece of, let me show you. So you get a black, this time you get a black bead that's a little bit bigger than the white bead. Kind of flatten it up, grab the white bead, put it on top, flatten the whole thing up, and pretty much place it kind of on top of the white thing. Okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to make another bead. Of course you can start with all kinds of cutters and things, but the way that I make this is, I find it simpler. Okay, so I made a bigger bead, and I'm going to flatten it and flatten it and flatten it. I can go a little bit over it like this, but what I'm going to do with it is to get just half of it. The other one can go away. And now we're gonna give it a little Puritan hat. So if this is too big, we can make it smaller, and I think we need it a little bit smaller. The bead was a tad too big, but we're gonna put first the brim of the hat on, and then the hat itself. And there we go, we have a little pilgrim. The other thing that you can do on this other one is to make it, because I forgot about it, you can make it a couple little feet. Just grab two little, actually you can make one bead. One bead, oval it, flatten it a little bit, then cut in half, place here, cut in half, place here. And there we go. Now we have a turkey with feet. Okay, so this is what I hadn't done until now, and as you can see, they are not very hard to make. They are a little bit but if you don't add all kinds of stuff on them, they won't be that hard to make. But generally speaking, they are not hard to make. You just make a little, you can even use just white and orange, or black and orange, or just one color to make this. I find that this looks more Thanksgiving-ish if you combine these colors. And if you don't have sienna, just get mud clay, because mud clay works perfect for that. You have absolutely no worries about that. Now, when talking about how to make a Thanksgiving napkin holder, this is exactly the principle. You make this, let me unzoom. So you make this in a much bigger scale. You make it about this big, okay? And you absolutely use a backing. You will need 3 pieces, 2 half circles made out of polymer clay. Make those first. So find, you know, I don't know, make a big sheet of clay and then find something to cut it with, something that's a big mouth jar or a bowl or something. Cut that and then cut that in half and bake it. Have them already baked. They have to be flat and baked. And then get another sheet and make it rectangular, and then fix first, form a groove for those 2 half circles. Form a groove in that sheet and then bake it. And then when everything is said and done, all you have to do is to just glue. Then on one of the circles, place this. You can place it on both circles, and then bake, and of course at the dimension of that half circle. And you can, the other thing is that you can make this only with mud clay, and simply put some, you know, use for example a feather stamp, or make just some grooves and just color it with acrylic if you want. And then you'll have the 2 turkey stand up, or one turkey and just something with a texture if you want on the other side. And then you can put the napkins, you know, the napkins would be like in the back of the turkey. Hi Ascara. So that is not a very, very complicated thing to make. Now what I'm going to be making from now on is going to be, and this is what I'm working on, tutorials and everything. We are done with the fall, we are done with the Thanksgiving. It's going to be this coming week. It's too late to make much stuff. And I have a ton of other things that I made in the past that you can look at if you want fall and stuff. So I'll be making a lot of winter, and I'll try to have a few more done until like 2 weeks before Christmas, so you can make more things. And I'm sorry, but it's always like some health issues always mess me up, and if it's not health issues, it's a nice storm. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that Finnegan's still sleeping, so I'm not going to bring him. If you want to follow his page, let me put the link in the chat, because I am posting several times a day what he's doing. And please don't forget, if you can afford to help, there are 3 ways you can help me, and every little dollar counts, because otherwise I'm gonna have a very, very, very crappy holidays. Both Thanksgiving and the Christmas, because everything will go to try and pay the whole thing within a month, not to have to pay double on it. So thank you, Jessica, and thank you so much for all the help that a lot of you have given me throughout. But I'm gonna go and lay down because my back is killing me. That's why I've been dropping stuff. But bad weather means the muscles on my back are practically spasming, and there's not much I can do about it. Thank you so much, and make your little turkeys if you want them as jewelry or if you want them as decorations. They're gonna be both the same cuteness. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful Sunday.